All right. Let me see if I can remember. I guess. First of all, with the Bedmaker album, how did like the production of that go? Was it straightforward or?
Well, the conception of it was interesting. We did not set out to make an album, but we played our first show in February of 2020, and then we took a year off. But during that year, each of us worked at home. I don't know if you know the band Darkest Hour, but Mike Schleibaum, who plays in Darkest Hour, is a dear friend of mine, and he immediately helped us set up, he told us what equipment to buy and like how to get ourselves set up to do home work for the band, and we just kept writing songs the whole time that we were at home. And then we had basically an album's worth of music. So we, by the time we played our third show, we were ready to make an album. But what we did not, we went and recorded at Viva a couple of times, which is a phenomenal studio. It's great, really beautiful work there. And then we had not actually discussed recording an album because it seemed like we hadn't really earned that yet, because we just hadn't played very much out. But then the first iteration of what was happening with Inner Ear was that Inner Ear was closing. Yeah. Which broke my heart. And I thought, fuck, you can delete that part. I'm not going to get to record there again because we didn't feel like we were ready. Yeah. And plus, everybody was trying to record right at the end. Yeah. But then it turned out that Don was going to open it back up at his house, which is the first place I met Don, was in his basement. Mm-hmm. And so it was great. We were sort of the first like shakeout band, like, they hadn't really they'd done some small recording back after he got everything set up again, but we were really the first full-on stuff happening there once he got everything set up. And it's still just it's a great recording studio. Yeah. And working with Don is just, it's the best. I will say this, I have not worked with that many studios or engineers. Mm-hmm. And I have been very, very fortunate to work with people who are kind and helpful and supportive and have great ears. Yeah.
I guess in the liner notes it said that the vocals were recorded in a different session. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. So that was with my friend Mike Schleibaum at his studio, which is called the Riff Dojo, which is really just his basement. So it's hard to explain. Maybe I've recorded a lot. I've been in a few bands and I've recorded a lot, and I've had experiences that informed me about how I like to feel when I'm doing my vocals. And at the time that Bedmaker was doing their record, we all have known each other for a very long time. We've been playing together for a long time, but we just hadn't crossed certain emotional spaces. Yeah. And so there was still, going back to our conversation about vulnerability, there was still some, there just was some things that were hard to navigate. And I was not happy with the vocals I had done at Inner Ear. And for whatever was going on with me, I didn't believe the people who were telling me it sounds good. Yeah. and it was all me. Like, it was just my own, what do you call that? Like,
intuition?
It's not even really intuition, just my own damage, I guess. Like, that I couldn't trust people or believe in the process. I felt very strongly like, this is bad. I did bad work. Everyone's lying to me. Like, all the negative talk that we all get into. And so I made a choice to go somewhere else. I just went by myself. It was just me and Mike in his basement over a couple of nights. And also, to be fair to myself, I think, just before we went into the inner ear to record, I had just gotten over my second or third round of COVID. And I knew, when I was doing my vocals, I knew I did not have the lung capacity that I needed. And so I think that got in my head. And so because I knew how physically how I was feeling while I was doing those vocals, it got in my head that they're not good. They probably were good. But, a choice was made.
Yeah.
So, and it was a good, it was an important step in the chemistry of Bedmaker. Because now they kind of understand that what I don't need to hear is, you sound great. I need to hear actual feedback.
Yeah.
Even if you feel like it's harsh, we're friends. We love each other. Like, we're family. You can give me actual feedback.
Yeah.
Because I want to grow too.
I guess segueing, hopefully, with the lyrics, you wrote them definitely during quarantine, right? Or at least some of them.
It's hard to say, because I write a lot, pretty frequently, and then some things turned into things and some things don't, or they kind of, two things will meet and come together. But
yeah,
I don't know where you're going with your question.
I guess with some of the songs, just what are the topics, I guess?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I write kind of, I'm a child of writers, and so I observe all the time. I'm just constantly taking in information. And the information sometimes, it translates into a couple of lines of text. Yeah. And I make just tons of notes everywhere. So many that I lose them, and I don't know. And sometimes they get expounded on, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they get knitted with other things, and sometimes they're just nothing. I could go back to it, and I'm like, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Yeah. So a lot of my stuff is not necessarily about any one thing. Okay. And sometimes it is, and it's not even. And I think that often there is a perception that lyrics are about the person delivering the lyrics, and I guess that's my point about saying that I'm observing all the time, is that I see things that are not me. They're not happening to me. They have never happened to me. I don't do them, and I'm observing something, and it is affecting me. Yeah. And and I want for people to hear it. And hopefully it's their curiosity. I mean, like with Ballad of Tokutai, the lyrics I wrote were long before I read about Tokutai, and it just fit. And what I hoped is that when people would be like, the hell is the Ballad of Tokutai? I was hoping that they would type it into a search engine and go like, whoa, this is a crazy story. And maybe they would feel affected by the story like I did and want to have a more compassionate world.
May I ask what happened? I haven't searched it up yet.
Oh, no, you gotta go search it. It's
okay.
Tokutai is an orca whale. And an orca whale who, as a baby, was taken away from their family, taken away from their natural waters, and put into a pool. And from the moment Tokutai was taken from their natural waters, even the people who did it, they were immediately affected by that whale and worked for decades to try to get him back to where he's supposed to be. Didn't work.
Oh, man.
But they got close. But it's an amazing story, and but it's amazing to me. But I already am like, why the fuck would you take things out of their natural? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like,
just.
I mean, it's similar. Tokutai is similar to the story of Keiko, who was the inspiration of Free Willy. It's the same kind of idea, which is people stole other beings.
Yeah.
And, but in Tokutai, it was a little bit more obvious that those people realized the badness that they had done. And Keiko's, they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't for a long, long time, and it actually took humans dying from animals who were distressed because they had been treated so poorly for those operations to be like, maybe we should stop doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with zoos back in the day, they did that. But hopefully now most zoos are intending to at least protect the animals.
It is a very thin line or something. It's that, on the one hand, aquariums and zoos, it's weird and kind of uncomfortable, but on the other hand, they are also doing conservation, and they're giving people an opportunity. I mean, I will never get to the other side of the globe at this point in my life.
Yeah.
And to be able to see certain animals that I'm fascinated with, that is a great gift.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, zoos they've come a long way, and aquariums too. Aquariums are different. It's captivity, but it's not the same as amusement, like animal amusement parks, basically.
Yeah.
Because in an aquarium, they're in a smaller space, yes. But they're living their life that they would, and it's more naturalized than it ever was in the past. But yeah, no, it's a really, we could talk about that forever.
Yeah. I guess to change the subject, how did Fort Reno come about? How did you...
Long before me.
Or I guess the opportunity to work there and book shows.
So, as a teenager, I went to Fort Reno, and it was different then. It was more like, I don't even know who was doing the programming, but it was just kind of rock stuff. And then in the early 2000s, the DC and I don't think the federal government was involved at that point. I mean, they owned the land, but I don't think they really were involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
But DC was really doing the programming, and all that money went away. And so one of the people who used to volunteer there, I don't remember his last name. I only knew him as Father George, and he was a Jesuit priest who would ride around on his 10-speed bike and, just make sure that kids were okay.
Mm-hmm.
He pushed hard to make sure that the concerts kept going because he felt like the kids need this.
Yeah.
And so in the early 2000s, late 90s, somewhere in there, it kind of evolved to be more focused on DC music,
mm-hmm.
and specifically the punk music of however it was being expressed. And it was like a lot of the people who were in the DC punk scene sort of worked on making the shows happen. And around 2004, a friend of mine named Beth was doing the booking, and she really wanted to get back into her own art,
mm-hmm.
and stop being more of a manager of art. And so we we just talked about working together, and she said, could you help me? And so I started in 2005. I booked the first that summer, and then here we are 20 years later.
Yeah. So I guess how's the lineup coming along this year?
I haven't decided yet. There's so many bands.
Wow.
And it's great. I really am astounded every year that there are just so many people making music. It's really encouraging. I'm not a competitive person, but it makes me feel more like, I gotta get out there. But it's just, I admire how many people are expressing themselves through music in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And also, as time has gone on, the people who are interested in being at Fort Reno have shifted. Mm-hmm. And that's really encouraging because it is really open to anybody who wants to be there. It's it's pretty bare bones.
Yeah. You
gotta really want to be there because it's hot and buggy and all that stuff. So yeah, no, I haven't decided the lineup yet. And that's how I usually I take it down to the bitter end, and it's like a last minute inspiration of like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was hoping my band could get a demo in time, but
I mean,
yeah.
It's the deadline is a function of it has to, like, at some point we have to stop.
Yeah.
Bringing stuff in just because we get so much, and we can't do a lot of shows.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of time.
And it is free to attend.
Mm-hmm.
It is not free to produce.
Yeah.
And that is that's really what cuts
mm-hmm. into
it. I mean, I do look back, or have looked back at times, like in the, right in the beginning of like 2005, 2006, 2007, I'm like, no wonder I was tired. We did like 14 shows or whatever. Like, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's also a lot I have to stay here. And as my family grew, it also is like, okay, well, I can't expect their vacation to be
mm-hmm.
hanging out at Fort Reno. Like, we should go somewhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. I guess moving on, so your brother Ian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have like a considerable age gap, right? But
8 years.
Growing up, like, how I guess, because with my sister, we're not really on friendly terms. How did you interact with him? And I guess also with Alec as well.
Well, the three of us really grew up together. We have 2 older sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 of us, Ian, Alec, and I really grew up together at Beecher Street. And I don't know, like, I think we were typical siblings, but also we enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah.
And then, when they got into the punk stuff, I just was like, wow, I like this. But also, I think I really looked up to them even as a small child. So, I think it just, I wanted to do whatever they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, our parents, I don't know if they set out to raise us to be, a clan, a clutch, or, whatever, like, but we did, we spent a lot of time together. And there wasn't, in the 70s and early 80s, there was not the same, it just was different times, so,
yeah.
When I got done with school, I just walked home and hung out in the street with other kids in the neighborhood. Like, it's just a different flow of life. And so I think, the siblings in the Mackaye family they spent a lot of time together.
Yeah. I can't imagine there were that many extracurriculars available.
It was just not a thing.
Yeah.
It just didn't exist. You
know?
Like,
there's so many things now, I think, that's possibly tearing siblings apart.
I agree. I mean, it's, I think, the over-emphasis on, it's like an overemphasis on learning or something, or creating opportunity. They have a lot of interesting ways to talk about this, but it just makes me feel like, oh, kids are not having an opportunity to think for themselves, to feel what they want, to like have a desire, because you're being given, like, at this age you should play soccer, at this age you should play flute, at this age you should do this, and it's a hard conversation, because obviously parents want to give their kids every opportunity they can, but I feel like that sometimes it's out of balance, because it's being delivered to the parent. You know what I mean? Like it gets into the capitalism stuff. Where somebody made a business and now they're telling you, like, oh, you need to do this for your kids, and I'm always enamored with families who are like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, get out of my house, But yeah, so I mean, when I grew up, it was just different. We had, just a ton of kids hanging out at our house. Like, it just was, so I think it fostered the ability for us to just stick together.
Nice.
I think you can do it with your sister. You'll get there.
Yeah, I definitely think over time, generally sibling relationships tend to mellow out, or at least get less abrasive.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's I think there's something to the, like, I think our parents definitely were like, you don't have a choice, like, this is your family.
Yeah.
It's, you're not friends. You have to be together. You have to love each other. Like, you just have to. And I think that there's good lessons in that, because it does mean, like, you, at a young age, you have to learn, like, I'm so mad at you. Do you want to go do something later? Like, you have to learn to balance that emotion.
Yeah. And
that's the other piece that, I feel like is we're not doing a good service to kids if we're not letting them learn how to balance their own emotions,
Yeah. I guess it just comes with whose intention it is, like the parent or if the kid wants to do it.
Yeah. And and that's it that I think it's where it gets tricky is that, you worry as a parent, you worry that I'm not doing enough for my child.
Yeah.
But then, that worry can cause an overstimulation when really, if, maybe the kid would be totally fine if you just were like, yeah, we're just going to stay home and stay home.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is like a relief, because schools are bigger now. The dynamics of being at school are different. Like it's all, we all need a break sometimes.
Yeah. I guess last penultimate question, I guess. So with Bedmaker, are you writing anything new, or are there any plans for the future?
Yeah, I mean we are very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. We are very fortunate. We just can't we're always writing new stuff. We have always more ideas than we can ever really work on, which is great. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we did record to do a single at Inner Ear, and we're still working on vocals and mixing, and it'll come out at some point. And then we're gonna play shows, and who knows after that. I mean, we are a band that has now 3 members who have full-time jobs, and 2 of them have school-aged children, and and it's just there's a lot to balance.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't say we don't look into the future, but we can make those plans when they may never come to fruit. But we're right now, so we're gonna play May 30th at an arcade in Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
So
that's my mom's birthday.
Hey! And then the 31st we're gonna play in Tacoma Park at Food Not Bombs fundraiser, which is great. June we're gonna play at the Positive Force 40th anniversary weekend, which is gonna be amazing. And then we haven't even actually talked about the summer yet, because it's just we probably won't do much after that June date, because people will be traveling. And then the thing that's mostly in the future is I think we're gonna play the fest in Gainesville, Florida in October, which is a huge thing. It's 3 days, and it's just a big gathering of so many great bands, and I'm pretty excited because I've always wanted to go to it. I've always wanted to be part of it. So, but that's the kind of thing, it's in the future.
Yeah.
It could arrive or may not arrive.
Yeah, I have a great respect for older bands that, despite having to do a job, they can keep going.
It's pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, you have to sacrifice quite a bit. I don't really, in our household, family comes first, and, so that's first, and there's a lot of family, because there's not just our family in this house, but that, we have the whole extended family, most of whom are here.
Yeah.
So, it is, that's a lot of family to put first, but that is how it goes. And then there's the band.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe there's a social life, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's hard, and I miss out on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also, like when notice I didn't put work in there, like, but that is a thing. Like,
yeah.
And one of us, well, I'd say two of us have important jobs, but one of us has like a job that, like, they have their calendars, they know their calendar into like 2026 already.
Oh wow.
Or 2020. And that is hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard to work around because it's serious, and sometimes things pop up and you're like, well,
yeah.
Okay, well, guess we're not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's two sides of the spectrum. You can have a well-rounded life, or you can go all in on touring. There's like a band I know that they're in their 40s and they're touring nonstop.
Well, and I will say this also, like, with trying to be a professional musician, that's you have to tour all the time.
Yeah.
It's just really, that's the economics of it.
Especially with streaming and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you have to go all the time. And when we started playing together, really, when we first started playing together, I don't even think we discussed playing a show. Like, it was just about making music.
Yeah.
And then there was like, okay, maybe we play some around town or something. And it's just it's been like baby steps the whole time, mostly because in the 90s, the way that bands toured was just brutal.
Yeah.
And none of us wanted to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we could. Like, the idea of 6 weeks in a van, sleeping on people's floors, I just don't think I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard then, and I was 20, so.
I mean, it's an experience I'd like to have, but I wouldn't want to do it all my life.
Yeah, I mean, I love touring. I really do, because I love to. I mean, again, back to the observer thing in my life. It's like, I love seeing other places and meeting other people and hearing about their experiences and just the whole thing. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. That's why I interview.
Yeah, exactly. But it is, and I think if I could take my family with me,
mm-hmm.
maybe it would be better. It's, 4 or 5 days of shows and I'm already like, oh man, I miss my kitchen. Like, this is great. I like these people, but I wonder what is happening in my backyard, and what, it is a hard space. And so in one way, it's helpful that everybody has job obligations. Yeah. Because it means it's like we're not doing that kind of touring.
Okay.
We can't,
All right, last set of questions.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this for every interview I do. What book are you reading right now or would recommend? And what's your favorite restaurant around here at the moment?
Oh man, God, that was really hard. Let's see, what book am I reading? I read a lot of cookbooks. Mostly because I'm fascinated. I do cook and bake a lot, but I'm fascinated with the fact that they're all a formula. Uh-huh. And then I'm like, I bet these recipes are shitty, And so I do that. I read a lot. I go to the library frequently. Nice. So right now I have, I think, 5 cookbooks out And then I started a book called, not gonna remember the name. It's a true telling of a story of a girl who disappears in some college town. I didn't get very far into it. It was not a bad book. It was not as interesting as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, man.
And the next book I'm going to start is called How to Draw the World. And it's about the person who wrote Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Interesting.
Which is a children's book, which is from my era. So it's really, should be interesting. Favorite restaurants? I can't pick one. We're always really happy to go to Loving Hut, but it's a drive.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna stay in our neighborhood, Bangkok 54 seems to be the one that we just keep going back to.
That was my quarantine lunch menu.
There's some really great restaurants. We're very fortunate in this neighborhood, but yeah, I don't know. That one just... And we've tried a lot of different Thai places, but that's, I don't know. The vibe is nice there, too.
They're great with separating nuts, which is good for my allergies.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good spot. And I don't know if you've been to Loving Hut, but it is really good.
What do they serve?
It is kind of a Asian fusion, but it's 100% vegan, and they are all over the globe. It is. I think she's called a supreme leader. There is a religious component to it that is not obvious when you're in the restaurant. But then if you look it up and you realize there's one in Mongolia. There's they're all over the globe. We went to, when Bedmaker was in Dayton, Ohio. I think it was in Dayton. It's definitely in Ohio. There's a Loving Hut there. And we went in and it was totally different. It's the architecture was totally different. It was more almost like a fast food setup. But I was like, menu is practically the same. And it was interesting because I was like, oh, this is just like being at the Loving Hut at home. And so it was comforting.
Nice.
But yeah, it's in Fairfax? Yeah, we'll just say Fairfax.
Okay. Turns out it's all the way out in Manassas.
No, it's not that far.
Oh, okay.
It's not that far at all. I just can't remember. There's a couple of straightaways that I get mixed up. I can't remember if it's on, it must be on Lee Highway, because, after Arlington, it goes back to being Lee Highway.
Yeah.
So I think it's on Lee Highway, but out past Falls Church.
Okay.
Which I think is, or maybe it's Falls Church, but
possibly
not, it's the bigger Falls Church.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good restaurant.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
So.
Was there another one?
No.
Okay, book and restaurant. Yeah. Got it.
Well, thank you so much for
answering
the questions I tried so hard to remember. I swear I'll get better at this with time and practice.
Yeah. I will give you one tip, which is, and I'm stealing it from my brother, which is you should always have people say their name and the date. Especially for with my last name, which most people spell wrong.
Yeah.
It's important to have someone say who they are and the date, just because.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this is going to be transcribed into text anyways. So
yes.
I'll have a I don't think I can do it, but like a pronunciation guide. Mackaye.
It's Mackaye.
Okay.
Yes, that was how we do it. Just I.
Mac and cheese.
Yes, indeed. It's pretty. It's mostly, I think that people don't. I don't think people realize that there are Macs and Mix.
Mm.
And so they just think that if it's an M and a C sound, it must be MC.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
2 different regions.
And I guess with the name McElroy, that's an MC. That's not an.
It's true.
A. Yeah.
You know, there's a whole different ways to pronounce things, but I don't know how they get McElroy out of it, but they do.
Yeah.
I won't question.
Yeah, my name's pronounced Woodyard, and you'd think it's pronounced Woodyard.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
It came from like Woodward, but then they changed the W to a Y.
Interesting.
So at least I know how that came about.
Yeah. And is Tiago your full first name?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I was just thinking, I was like, I wonder if it's nickname off of Santiago.
It was my great-great-grandfather's nickname.
Yeah.
But then my parents decided, legal name, just Tiago.
Very nice. That's good. Sets you apart.
Yeah.
You're the only Tiago I know.
There's like Thiago Silva, who's a soccer player.
I don't know anything about soccer.
Yeah, me neither.
The only sport I ever really look at is football. And I couldn't tell you who any of the players are. Because I just like to look at it.
Yeah.
Although I did read the other day that I think it's the Steelers drafted someone who's like 440 pounds or something and is the heaviest NFL player ever.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, that's a lot of person.
Yeah. All right, well.
All right.
Thank you so much.
What's remind me the name of your band, because I don't think you put it anywhere, did you?
Sid's Lunch.
Yeah, you didn't put that anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't.
Nope.
I'm very good at advertising, as you can tell.
Is it SYD, Sid?
Yeah, SYD, because it's named after an actor at Wakefield.
Oh.
A stage actor, and he played Orrin Scrivello in Little Shop of Horrors last night.
Oh.
But he has this lunchbox that says Sid's Lunch.
Oh,
and
nice.
like, that's a band name.
Yes.
Hey, can I use that as a band name?
Yeah. They're everywhere, band names. Do you keep a list?
No. I kept like a list of lines.
Uh-huh.
And so it was almost a lyric.
Yeah.
But it was a band name.
Yeah. It's multi-purpose. You could have a band name, you could have a song title, you could have lyrics.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, some bands just make it all like Peach Pit, Peach Pit, Peach Pit.
No. That's a lot of Peach Pit.
Yeah. Title or song title, band name, lyric.
I was at a cafe this morning and the music came on and my husband was saying like, look above me, because he goes there it's right near his work and he goes there frequently. He's like, it's really weird because the music sounds like, like really soft rock, like acoustic guitars and stuff. He said, but the people, they get all crazy. But they, at that particular, this morning it was just a still shot. But I read the words that were on the screen and I thought, I don't remember what the biggest words were, and I thought that was the name of the band. And then the next time I looked up, I was like, oh, that's not the name of the band, because this song is a cover of U2, and I could see that that's the song title. The name of their band was Music Travel Love. I'm going to say that is not a good band name. But I don't know, because it made me immediately think of Eat, Pray, Love, which is a book that is fairly famous. I think they made it into a movie. But it also had, Eat, Pray, Love had the punctuation, so you understood that this was the order. You know, but this is just music, space, travel, space, love. And I thought that was the name of the album, which fine.
Yeah.
That could, you know, but it was really, I was like, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Naming bands is really hard.
It is.
I don't know about you, but I always have, like, namer's remorse.
Yeah.
That's why, like, in Bedmaker, we have, we use holding names for very, very long. Like, basically until we have to go to press for the record or something. And it's because I'm always like, what if the name is dumb?
Yeah.
Like, what if once it shows up on a record cover, it looks silly, you know?
Yeah. Like, in Sid's Lunch, we write just with numbers, which is something that Black Guys did. And then with my solo recordings, which is just weird stuff, I just have it like 6.15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's just the name in the mixer that I use.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, we choose whatever we need, but it is, it's naming things is really hard. Even with Bedmaker, it was like, I just threw it out there. It was one of the names. I had a long list of, you know, band names that I've just been compiling for a couple of years. And I just threw that one out there thinking, I won't go for this. And they were like, yeah, that's a good one. I'm like, really? Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's just, you never know somebody's reaction until you give it to them.
Right, which is why you have to be careful. You have to also like it.
Yeah.
Because if you throw out something truly as a joke and then everyone else likes it, you're like, oh no, it's a democracy and I'm outvoted.
Yeah. Zesty Zebras.
Exactly.
My first band. I threw it out as a joke playing VR. And it stuck. I'm glad I'm not in that band anymore. They're still playing.
Wow, Zesty Zebras, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's a Rock of Ages music band. Do you know?
Oh, it's like
It's like Bach to Rock or School of Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know Rock of Ages though, huh?
Yeah. John Patrick, a former Virginia Coalition guy, founded it. Yeah.
Interesting.
So. But, yeah, they're a cool program.
Yeah.
You actually choose the songs, so.
That's pretty good. You know, I've met a lot of kids who've come out of Bach to Rock and School of Rock, and I shouldn't say a lot of kids actually. I do meet people who have done it, but I don't find that many who've actually then made the transition to writing their own music.
Yeah.
And like you know, we often have kids who are doing that, who want to play, and I'm like, have you written any songs? I'll let you play like one cover, but it is, but it's hard, you know, there's just, I appreciate places that are teaching kids how to play music and write music, but I worry a lot about the youth.
So do I, and I am the youth.
Well, you're gonna change it.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully. When's your next show?
I'm trying to book something with the American Legion Post 139 in Clarendon.
In Clarendon?
Yeah.
Oh, over on
I'm not sure if it's
Washington Boulevard?
Yeah, it's either Washington or Wilson. One of the
It's
W's.
Washington, and it was there was a bunch of property and it got sold, and I think they owned it, but what they got out of the deal was a fancy new building.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah. And then
how are you getting in there?
What's your hookup? I just emailed the website and they're like, yeah, we're looking for people to play shows. We just gotta set up our venue and we'll be ready by fall.
Right on. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Man,
then
I like it.
Once my band has a set ready, we'll contact Rhizome.
Yeah.
And
I love that place. I love that place so much.
By the time we have an album out, I can send it to you in Fort Reno 2026.
Yeah, I mean, right. Having a release is not critical.
Yeah.
Having more than 1 or 3 songs is.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
yeah.
you know, getting up to play 1 song is not... That's hard to book around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really cool. Where else are shows happening in this area? Mostly HB.
Yeah, I mean it's hard when you're just an up and coming like band that's a kid, because like with Black Cat and 930, like all these, I forget what's the name of that like live conglomerate. Joe Lally did the tickets at Lincoln Theater, something like that.
I have no idea.
It was like, I guess Live Nation owns it or something, like.
Oh.
Yeah, like.
Well, yeah, there's like
Yeah,
Live
kids.
Nation, IMP, there's Union Stage, like all this. They run all the venues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's like a venue conglomerate, it's sort of harder to get booked because all the labeled bands.
It's not just kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
It's not just kids. It is anybody who doesn't factor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, has not found the golden door to knock on yet.
Yeah.
So it's it is really, really hard to play around here. That's why Comet is a very late venue.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to do that, but
because they open at like 10. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
we went on at midnight. So I got home at 2:00 this morning.
Oh wow.
So like, you know, it's hard, but at the same time, it's like it has to, you know, if they didn't do it, and if they didn't do Quarry House,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Rediscover is a company that does booking, but it's people who are actually musicians.
Yeah.
You know, so they have a different attraction to it. They are actually trying to make places for people to play who can't get into anywhere else.
Yeah.
Know? It's yeah. So I don't know. It's but I can't. I'm always trying to figure out where the other shows are happening. Like,
Yeah.
I could go. I know I can read the Black Cat website. I know but there are so many bands. There has to be shows going on somewhere else, in someone's basement or something.
I'd love to play a house show.
And that's where I want to play.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I love playing the Black Cat, but I really playing a basement show. Well, as long as it had good egress, because I don't like to feel confined. So yeah, let me know when you guys play a show.
Okay.
Wherever it is. And keep me posted on this VFW or American Legion Hall.
Yeah.
Because that's exciting. You could break that space and you can start doing shows there.
Yeah. It could be
Then you'd become the Clarendon hookup.
Yeah, the Clarendon scene.
Yeah. Well, let's just call it Arlington.
Yeah, Arlington scene.
Yeah.
I'd like to play some in DC too, though.
Yeah. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
That is a hard ticket. But yeah, and it's well, it depends on what kind of venue you want.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, it is hard. Well, now for my band, because I don't know that they cared that much about, where before, when I was like, it's got to be all ages.
Yeah.
We're not doing it otherwise. Doesn't matter. Even this show we're playing in Fredericksburg, when we got the contract, they didn't say anything. We, one of the other bands asked us to come play the show, and they didn't say anything about the venue other than it was like, it's really cool. It's like a, like a retro arcade, but like just like the old 80s arcades. And I'm like, wow, sounds cool, whatever. But then when the contract arrived, it said they were 18 plus.
Oh, man.
And I wrote to the guy and I said, hey, I'm sorry, we don't do that. We're all ages only all the time.
Yeah.
And when I wrote to the band that invited us to be there, so I'm sorry, I wish you'd said something. I said yes, and I should have done more research. But then the weirdest thing happened, which is that the show promoter changed the rules and made it all ages, and then said, normally we are all ages. And I thought, well, why did you make this show 18 plus? It was. I was like, normally this whole venue is all ages, and you made an exception to make it 18 plus. That's weird.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
So, the point of that is to say, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
A place that is age restricted if they'd be willing to do all ages.
All right, I'm going to stop this.
Oh yeah, we're gonna eat up your